The thermometer is rising and our viral videos are hot. Hey friends, it's Executive Director Kathleen Thompson. We're raising $60,000 to get to Election Day and we could use your help. The months leading up to an election are often the most difficult time for nonprofits to raise, as donors naturally focus on campaigns. We're in the peak of dry summer giving season and need patrons of progress to support the real free press. Your gift funds the peerless work like our THCBN video that hit 1 million views in 24 hours. Become a sustaining member or increase your gift before the 31st. When you join, you'll get exclusive perks for progress. Check out the link in show notes to buy back your media today.
I'm Courtney Cannell, Government Affairs and Regulatory Affairs. I support Progress Texas for equality for all, specifically for transgender and women's rights. Can I get a ballot to vote by mail in Texas here? Well, that would be my top of my wish list.
It's Friday, August 28th, 2026, and this is the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch rapid response on the breaking news stories Texas progressives need to know. I'm Chris Mosier, and we can't do what we do without your support. Huge thanks to Christine Huber, David Virgil, and Stu Campbell for their ongoing sustaining partnership. So yesterday, just about the time we were telling you that we expected ICE agent Christian Castro to be released at some point on Thursday onto the streets of Brownsville, ICE agent Christian Castro was released onto the streets of Brownsville despite a legal and routine extradition request from the state of Minnesota, where he's wanted on 4 felony charges of assault and 1 over the filing of false reports by a law enforcement officer. This story warranted a breaking news alert from several national outlets, including the New York Times. Texas has brought to a head a battle over interstate power and the very meaning of our borders under the U.S. Constitution, in which the extradition clause holds that if a person is charged with a crime in one state and flees to another, the governor of the state where they are found and apprehended is required to send that person back to face trial in the state where they are accused. This came up in the U.S. Supreme Court in the late 80s. The 1987 Puerto Rico versus Branstad ruling established that state governors do not have the right to ignore these requests. Justice Thurgood Marshall explaining that allowing state leaders to refuse valid rendition warrants from other state leaders undermines national unity and constitutional design. However, that ruling places the ultimate call with the federal courts. And while Governor Greg Abbott has held off on signing the official paperwork to send Castro back to Minnesota, Trump-appointed U.S. District Judge Fernando Rodriguez Jr. ruled that because Abbott had not formally rejected the request, only delayed it, federal courts could not yet step in, regardless of Texas state law, limiting the amount of time a person can be jailed while awaiting extradition to 90 days. That deadline arrived yesterday, and Castro walked free. The system has been successfully gamed by a Trump-appointed judge, and Governor Greg Abbott in Texas has directly intervened in the state of Minnesota's efforts to bring to justice a person wanted for a violent crime committed in their state. As a state, and you and I are part of that state, Texas is harboring a fugitive from justice. A terrible precedent for red states operating under a Republican president has been set. Governor Abbott has rationalized that Castro shouldn't be extradited from Texas because his bosses at the Department of Homeland Security transferred him to his home state of Texas after that dangerous violation of policy in Minnesota. He didn't flee back here on his own. So, at this point, all the Trump DHS or Customs and Border Patrol has to do to protect an immigration officer from prosecution for committing excessive violence on duty is to transfer that officer to a state run by a compliant Republican governor. This ruling shows that while a governor cannot legally deny an extradition request, the law sets no strict deadline for how quickly they must act, allowing delays to eventually trigger a suspect's release. The state of Texas, your state government, funded by your tax dollars, is now shielding a federal agent from facing state criminal charges. This is the reality that carte blanche Republican rule has brought upon us. Just so happens there's an election coming up, and believe me, those Republicans doing the ruling these days are very aware of that. We've talked about this, but it's flared back up in the news, so let's touch it one more time this morning. Stephanie Coithon at the San Antonio Current reminds us that well over 1 million Texas voters are now under voter suspense, meaning The state has decided they can't be 100% completely totally sure that you're still living at the address you most recently registered under due to mailers gone unreturned or any other lame excuse. If you're on this suspense list and you show up to vote this November without fixing this, you'll be forced to use a provisional ballot, which greatly increases the risk that your vote may not be counted at all in the event of election difficulty or complication, which is also very much in the forecast this November. Hit the Texas Secretary of State's god-awful website to confirm your registration right now. The deadline to correct any issues you might find is October 5th. That's only 38 days from today. Over 6% of registered Texas voters, that's 1 in about every 16 of us, is currently on the voter suspense list. We should all check this out right now. Republicans will do anything to cling to power, and massive effort has already been taken to shore up the losses the Republicans know full well they've earned this fall, including the redistricting that State House Democrats tried to hold off with a quorum break. We'll soon learn whether that will pay off or not for the GOP. Sarah K. Burris at Alternet says success is anything but guaranteed, and that in fact that carving up of Texas is looking like it could fully backfire on Team Trump. During a recent CNN panel discussion hosted by Dana Bash, analysts highlighted that 3 South Texas districts redrawn to favor Republicans, the 15th, 28th, and 34th, now show races where the Democratic nominees and incumbents have a great shot, despite Donald Trump winning these areas by 10 points or more in 2024. During the panel, journalist Tia Mitchell noted that the redistricting strategy, viewed with hindsight, shows flaws that came from Republican mapmakers catering heavily to and assuming the loyalty of that new 2024 base of South Texas Trump voters, many of whom have since soured on the dear leader over mass deportation policies and his economic failures. In redoing these districts, the GOP actually diluted their Republican lean, counting on that loyalty, but dramatically shifting political conditions have narrowed those margins, making districts thought to be safe for the GOP to be far less secure. This is Bobby Polito challenging Republican Congresswoman Monica De La Cruz and Congressman Vicente Gonzalez and Henry Cuellar holding off Republican challengers. And finally, this Friday morning, y'all, flock cameras. There's one right near my house that I must admit I have deeply considered having some fun with. Kathleen Ortiz at the Houston Chronicle provides an activity for those among us who hate them too. See their link in our show notes this morning for a resource you can use to find out if your license plate has been the subject or target of a search of the massive flock database. This platform relies on audit logs gathered through public records requests to show search queries entered by flock customers, though its creators note that it doesn't track every camera you might have driven past, and that their data set is incomplete due to the sheer size and complexity of the information being collected on all of us, without a warrant and without robust administrative guardrails. Mass surveillance without strict oversight or warrant requirements is a direct threat to public privacy. As you know, pushback in Texas has continued to build momentum. The vandalizing of cameras has become a favorite and entertaining pastime. And more seriously, police officers in a growing number of Texas cities, including Pasadena and Baytown, have come under investigation for allegedly looking through the flock data set for their own creepy personal purposes. League City has become the first Texas municipality to place a referendum on the ballot to let voters weigh in on whether the city should continue allowing flock cameras. And Kelsey Thompson at mysanantonio.com says the Austin suburb of Pflugerville has disabled and covered up all of its flock units after a unanimous vote of its city council earlier this week to end the city's contract with Flock's parent company, prompted by growing concerns about illicit access and privacy violations. These things suck, and while we'd never ever encourage you to break the law, it's lots of fun to see them come down. Should the election in November break our way, there's tons more of that kind of fun ahead as the opportunity to right a wide variety of wrongs presents itself. Go hit the Secretary of State's website and make sure your registration is good right now. Our In Progress Roundtable show will be on the radio in Houston and San Marcos on Sunday. Catch us in Houston on KPFT's HD2 channel, adjacent to 90.1 FM, on Sunday morning at 11 a.m. And also on Sunday, catch In Progress on KZSM True Community Radio 104.1 FM in San Marcos at 12 noon. With your support, we hope to continue to expand our radio footprint across Texas this year. Click the link in the show notes to make your tax-deductible donation to help us reach new audiences via Texas Radio. This election year, you can support the Real Free Press by investing in pro-democracy, pro-justice, progressive storytelling delivered by Texans for Texans. Join Progress Texas this summer ahead of the midterms and become a monthly donor today, or increase your giving during our summer sustaining donor drive. With your partnership, we can reach more independents, progressives, and young voters who must be mobilized to win elections celebrations this fall. And we'll thank you at Perks for Progress, your choice from an exclusive Resist coffee mug, a sweet Progress Texas summer koozie, and a progressive button pack. Plus, you'll get a shout out here on the Daily Dispatch. See the link in the show notes or hit progresstexas.org to join the family during our summer sustaining donor drive. That's the Progress Texas Daily Dispatch for this Friday, August 28th, 2026. Links to all these original stories can be found in our show notes. Learn more about what we do and how you can get involved at progresstexas.org. I'm Chris Mosier. Thanks so much for listening. Have a terrific day and a great weekend. Be safe, and we'll see you again here on Monday morning.